talk about the Australian flag, shall we? Tomorrow is actually National Flag Day, and I have to confess, I didn't even know that was a thing. Did you? It's a national celebration of the Australian flag, and it's been celebrated since the 1990s on September the 3rd. Not widely celebrated, I don't think. I guess the question is, what does it symbolise to you? If you look to the Olympic Games, for example, there's so much pride, isn't there, when you see the Australian flag being raised at one of the gold ceremony celebrations at the pool, say, and then you look to what happened over the weekend at these anti-immigration rallies and you see the Australian flag being draped over neo-Nazi protesters, and you kind of feel a sinking sense of shame. Or do you? I'd love to hear from you. What does the Australian flag represent to you? Hello, Michael.
Hi, Renee.
What do you think?
Oh, well, yeah, it's a big subject, isn't it? I just spoke to you guys getting through. I served 18 years in the Australian Army, and we out of the three services. Army, Navy, Air Force. Of course, I'll be cheeky and say Army was the superior service, but nothing wrong with the other two. But the Army is officially designated as the defender of the Australian flag, and hence that was the Army's, flag. The Air Force have their flag and the Navy has theirs. The Army wears the ANF, as it's called, the Australian national flag, which my uncle served in Tobruk. My uncle Jack served at Tobruk, fighting the Nazis. He fought against General Erwin Rommel in the Afrika Korps, who turned out to be not a bad bloke. Apparently, he met his fate eventually at the hands of the Nazis.
Very much, Michael. It's really enlightening to hear your views. On the text line, Ivanka says it's so sad to see even politicians, some extreme politicians, wrapping themselves in Australia's flag and protesting in the name of anti-immigration. Their actions are putting people off to respect the flag, and so-called Australians who just happen to come to Australia earlier than those who are coming now, says Ivanka. Professor Garrett Cullity is Director of Moral, Social and Political Theory at the ANU, the Australian National University, and he joins us now on evenings. Hello, Garrett. Thank you very much for your time.
Hi, Renee. It's nice to join you.
Our feeling as individuals about our Australian flag are conflicted, aren't they? On the one hand, we should feel a great sense of pride in our national flag. All countries, all countrymen should.
Yeah, I think so. And I think what you've just said is the kind of attitude towards patriotism generally, and the flag in particular, that we kind of need to aspire to. So you have the image in your mind of, I don't know, the World Cup soccer final, where you've got these people in the crowd. They've all painted their faces with the flags of their countries, and you're kind of celebrating the fact that the Japanese have got the Japanese flag on their face, and the Belgians have got the Belgian flag, and so forth. And there's a way of belonging to a group which sort of celebrates your connection to the group, but also celebrates other people's connection to theirs as well. And I think the kind of patriotism that is kind of affirming is a kind that celebrates other people's patriotism as well.
And so a flag is important for that reason. It's a great sense of feeling a part of a nation and feeling proud of being part of that nation.
Well, I think if you think about it, so what patriotism itself is love of country. And that's always, to some degree, being contested. So when people turn up to the rallies the other day and say that they're supporting Australia, they're supporting a particular vision of Australia. And there are more and less exclusive ways of thinking about it. And I think over the history of a country, you've actually got those kinds of battles of ideas, battles of values, that are actually being played out all the time. Part of what I suppose we're conflicted about, to the extent that we are about the flag, is conflicts about history, about culture, and as you were saying before, about what the flag's sort of been used for, the way in which it has been used in certain contexts.
Is it possible to suggest that certain groups shouldn't be allowed to fly the flag for their own purpose, for their own agenda? I mean, would that even be a possible idea to prosecute?
My feeling is that would be itself divisive in a way that would stir up more trouble than it would be worth. I mean, it's tempting to think that way, and I suppose with some symbols from the past. I mean, you were talking with Michael about the Nazis in the past. I mean, you can understand why, say in Germany, there are certain Nazi symbols that it's illegal to use, and indeed in this country now as well, because of the way that ideology has been imported. And so that, in extremity, it can make sense to ban a symbol. But when it's a symbol that, as Michael was also saying, carries that significance in people's lives and is actually standing for the good aspirations of Australia as well, having a symbol around which you can unify, I think, is also important.
So if you think of the Australian flag in your mind's eye, on it is the Union Jack in the far top right corner, representing the mother country, I guess. The Southern Cross represents us being in the Southern Hemisphere, and then we've got the large 7-pointed Commonwealth star. Are we missing something on the Australian flag, if it is to be a symbol of national unity for all Australians?
Yeah, I think I'd put it this way. So if we didn't have that particular flag now, and we had a competition as they did in 1901, so the flag we've got was the result of a competition which was open to Australian citizens. There were 30,000 entries, so that was about 1% of the whole population of the country. And we ended up with the flag we did because, interestingly, there were 5 entries that were almost identical and came up with that. And I think there is a case to be made for thinking that important symbols are kind of randomly chosen in the first place. So I think quite a good example, for example, is the English flag. So the flag of St. George, which is a white flag with a red cross on it, which has kind of changed its meaning, interestingly, over time, and has now become less divisive than it was, say, in the 1990s, where a lot of English soccer hooligans carried it around. It was the flag that was waved around by the British National Party, which was a far-right anti-immigration party there. And now that has kind of dissipated. So it's partly that there are a lot of black footballers. It's the flag of the English football team. And now actually the meaning of a symbol changes over time, and it can actually come to be more unifying in the future, actually, than it was in the past.
John Vaughan has given us a call on the phone line. Hello, John.
Oh, hi, Renee.
Yeah.
Happy Flag Day to you.
Happy Flag Day. Like, I wasn't even aware that tomorrow was the Australian National Flag Day. Were you?
Well, of course, yes, I've been studying flags for a long, long time. It's also Merchant Navy Day, and Merchant Navy have the privilege of using the Australian red ensign. That's the red background Australian flag. So we've got 2 special events tomorrow. One's a celebration, the national flag, and the other one's a commemoration of almost 1,000 seafarers, Australian merchant seafarers who died during wartime. So we've got a double-barreled situation tomorrow. But as far as changing the flag is concerned, well, there was raging comments about this in the 70s, 80s, but they've dissipated. You look at the current statistics, and it's between 60 and 70% support the flag as it is. And I think it's getting stronger and stronger, quite honestly. And the fact that we had 5 people design the flag, and One was only 14 years old, Ivor Evans of Melbourne. And of course, we've got the original building where the flag was first raised. That's the Royal Exhibition Buildings in Melbourne. And we hope to have some reenactment there as well. But of course, there's been major celebrations in the Parliament in Canberra with Patrick Gorman, Minister representing the Prime Minister, and Milton, he's the Speaker of the House of Representatives. And there's a flag roadshow. So the big flag from Parliament House is currently going around Australia to all the schools that would like to see the big flag. And it's a very big flag. It's 40 feet by 20. So it's very hard to even unravel it and show it. You've got to have about 24 people to do it.
So, John, from your point of view, the Australian flag as it is, you say, is supported by 60 to 70% of the population. Do you see it as a symbol of national pride?
Look, I do, because if you look at how we treat Anzac Day, the diggers, the First World War diggers particularly, and even during the Boer War, at the end of the Boer War, the Australian flag went off to South Africa and was draped over the grave of Breaker Morant. So the flag got overseas within a matter of 2 months. And of course, if you look at the way the flag was treated in the First World War, so many diggers actually took a small flag with them. Sometimes it was the red ensign or the blue national flag. Didn't matter, it's the same design. And of course, the Southern Cross, our emblem of the Southern Hemisphere, as you pointed out. The Commonwealth Star, of course, says that we're a federation of states and territories, 6 states, and 1 extra point on that 7-pointed star is for all our federal territories. And the
but could we not just add another symbol? There's a lot of blue on that background. Could we not put another symbol to represent our First Nations heritage and indeed multicultural heritage?
Now there are many stories of the Southern Cross in Aboriginal culture, and they're very important. They show the way because at night, of course, those beautiful bright stars in the sky would go from south to north to west to east, just a massive stars. And the Southern Cross was a sacred symbol to many Aboriginal groups. So we have a symbol there that links us all together in the Southern Hemisphere. And of course, I was going to mention the Union Jack. Well, that says we're a parliamentary democracy. We have the rule of law, the right of assembly, the right of protest. We have all these special privileges and responsibilities. And part of the responsibilities is not for extremists to use the flag. But of course, this is a democratic country. The people of Australia own the flag, not the government. We share our national flag with the government. The symbol of government is the national coat of arms. It's their corporate copyright.
Yeah, John, we are going to have to wriggle on because I've got John Alexander standing by and I'm just looking at a television screen, I've got to say, and Molly Picklum, who has just become the Australian world champion in surfing, is wearing the Australian flag.